On Monday, the 2nd of June, the Cabinet approved certain changes to the law relating to ganja. These changes relate to the possession of small quantities of ganja for personal use, the smoking of ganja in private places, and the use of ganja for medical and medicinal purposes. Approval has also been given to a proposal for the decriminalization of the use of ganja for religious purposes.
With that statement, the country learned that marijuana may soon be used legally for the economic benefit of the country. Hi, I'm Arroyo Eubanks and you're tuned into Jamaica Magazine. On the pages today, Justice Minister Mark Golding provides timely answers on the proposed changes to the Dangerous Drugs Act. Also, a reminder as to why it's important to have a GOJ health card. Stay with us. It will be an informative and an entertaining show.
When using an automated banking machine ABM, ensure the machine is in a location you are comfortable with, and when you enter, be sure to close the door. Examine the machine before you insert your debit card, and never enter your card if the machine has a suspicious device attached to it. More important, don't allow strangers to assist you in conducting a transaction. And remember, treat your debit card like cash. Keep it in a safe place.
The decriminalization of ganja has been the subject of considerable study and debate. With a few countries legalizing its usage, some locals have pushed harder for the plant to be harnessed to increase the nation's earning power. The government has listened, and soon its usage in small amounts and for medical and religious purposes will be permissible. How can we develop and monetize this industry? That's what's up for discussion on this week's Issues and Answers. First, we hear the views of the public, then we go to Ian Boyne and the Minister of Justice for a detailed report on the plans for the plant.
We have to set up an institution like a body like the sugar industry, the coffee industry, where we can sell it through the export department so people can earn money from it, rather than have one company come in and buy up all the product and we have to work for them and get no money at the end of the day. So it's best that way to set it like the sugar board or the coffee board.
The government earn medicine and other important sources, you know what I mean? Like urban markets, you know, the urban market bit, you know. Your health, and I mean the hospital use it, medicine, something like that. So.
The government can always probably open a factory in order to manufacture it and to process it, and so people will get jobs more now, and so persons will be able to earn money in order to supply or provide for themselves and their family.
Make them plant it and sell it locally, and them keep an eye on it.
Plant it and send it to go make medicine. Invest on it. Instead of them destroy it, them invest on it because it's a good medicine for all asthma. It's good for cancer. It's good for a lot of things. It make soap, it make hair oil, it make shampoo. You know, I just them to know how to angle it.
The government, well, they have to create farm, basically, for ganja, and they have to have particular store that can distribute it. An authorized person to sell it for them, like pharmacies and a permanent drugstore.
Thanks for joining us for Issues and Answers. I'm Ian Boyne. Today we talk about ganja law reform. We have with us the Minister of Justice, Senator Mark Golding, and he recently spoke about the Cabinet's acceptance of certain changes to the law having to do with marijuana. Today we'll expand on that. We thank you for your company. Minister, good to have you.
Thank you for having me.
Why would the government be thinking about decriminalizing ganja apart from its medical use when the scientific evidence still shows that there are health risks to the smoking of ganja?
Well, first of all, the proposals are that essentially what we're planning to do is to take some of the more noxious social effects of the current rules, the current law, by modifying the criminal penalties. So we're not legalizing or even strictly speaking decriminalizing personal use of small quantities. What we're saying is that personal use and smoking of ganja will be treated in a different way by the law, so that we're talking about making it a non-arrestable offense, taking those cases out of the court system by having it pay a fine that's payable by way of a ticket online or through the tax office, and not attracting a criminal record. Treating it
so
as
persons won't go to jail.
No, persons won't go to. That's right. They won't, and they won't have a permanent blight or blot, I should say, on their record, which has been a problem in the past. And also, as you know, we have the courts, especially the RM court, deals with these cases now. They're overburdened with cases, and part of the justice reform process is to find ways of taking cases out of the courts that really can be better dealt with elsewhere. So we have restorative justice, for example. We try and deal with certain minor offenses through a procedure outside of court, and we have a child diversion program we're coming with, and this is really part of that general thrust. So we're not making ganja a legal substance as such, but we're trying to find a way of treating it in a way that doesn't have such a negative impact on those who are caught using it. And we wish to discourage smoking. You wish to discourage smoking? Yes, we do.
You're still saying that?
Yes, we do. So smoking is in public won't be allowed, as it is no longer allowed for cigarettes. Smoking in private won't be allowed as such. What we've said is possession. We won't have two offences. The offence is possession of a small quantity, and that's what becomes a ticketable offence, payable outside the court. And we hope, as we develop the medical marijuana industry, that many countries around the world, and is permitted by the treaties that we've signed, as long as it's regulated with proper monitoring and reporting and so on. As we develop that, there's revenue that the government can make from that, and some of that revenue will be allocated towards discouraging smoking, and smoking ganja in particular, especially by adolescents.
So and public education program.
Yes, they will properly fund
smoking,
and it should be funded to discourage the smoking of ganja, especially by adolescents and other vulnerable. Right now, as everyone knows, smoking ganja is prevalent in Jamaica, and many adolescents smoke it, even though their brains are not fully developed, and the science shows that that is not a good situation. But there's zero money being allocated towards discouraging that. We have money spent on, encouraging safe sex, encouraging people not to drink and drive, and smoking, encouraging people not to smoke cigarettes. Nothing on. So we want to complement that by making sure that the message is strong out there that vulnerable people, especially adolescents, shouldn't be smoking.
So that government thrust in this area of ganja law reform could actually strengthen the anti-ganja smoking initiative.
Absolutely. Which
is why provide funding for
that's it. That's right. I was a little disappointed when the MAJ came out so quickly against the policy, because I do believe that it will actually, from a public health perspective, improve the situation that now exists, where it's prevalent and nothing is really being done about it, other than through the criminal law taking a harsh stance towards it, in the sense that it's an arrestable offence and you can be imprisoned if you do. That's not normally the case, but sometimes it does happen, and you get a criminal record. We're taking those aspects out of it, relieving some of the burden on the courts, ensuring that persons who use it recreationally, although it's not lawful and they will get a fine and through a ticket, they will not suffer a permanent blot on their record, and their human rights will be respected. And hopefully, as the medical marijuana industry emerges, funding will be available through that, through the licensing and so on, to strengthen the messaging, discouraging especially adolescent use of ganja, because I think the science shows that it's particularly undesirable to have adolescents smoking ganja.
So there's no difference in between your position and that of the Medical Association of Jamaica, because you are not saying that there's no public health risk to ganja smoking at all.
I fully acknowledge
You're not saying that.
I fully acknowledge that there is a public health risk, especially for youngsters. And I think that what we're trying to do is design a more sensible policy for dealing with it. I can understand that the emotional response or even the trigger response is liberalizing the rules. that's going to encourage more people to smoke. I don't believe that's so. I think people want to smoke ganja now, smoke it in Jamaica.
Anyway.
It's very available and it's very cheap relative to other countries. What we need to do is discourage those who shouldn't be smoking it from smoking it and take some of the negative social consequences out of the way in which the law treats with people who do smoke it.
But don't you believe that taking away some of the negative social consequences inadvertently encourages the smoking of ganja? In that there might be some persons who, but for these negative social consequences, would smoke it, would take that risk. But because you are removing that, an unintended consequence is an incentive to smoke.
I acknowledge that that is a theoretical risk. And that, as to whether in practice that will happen, I have my doubts about it. I do think, as I said earlier, that those who want to smoke, smoke alreay, and that's at all age groups, you know. So I don't think that lessening the penalties is going to encourage anybody who doesn't want to smoke to now start smoking. But on the other hand, you have other substances that are more dangerous, like alcohol and tobacco, which are lawful, and people advertise and all of that, and that, you know, deaths from those substances and the abuse are far more extensive than from ganja. So the fact that a substance has a negative health effect doesn't necessarily mean that the criminal law ought to be the way in which we deal with it. And I think the way to deal with this is to have proper messaging, proper public education around it. We need funds to do that. We hope to get those funds from having a regulated medical marijuana industry, which will generate funds that the government can use for this. And as I said before, avoiding the problem that we now have, where we have literally thousands of young people, especially young men, who have been, you know, found with a spliff or a small or draw weed or whatever in the past. They've been gone some of them have been jailed over it. Some of them have have a criminal record over it. They can't travel to certain countries. They can't get certain jobs, even in the public sector, because of the record that they have. So we want to deal with that.
Minister of Justice making a seemingly strong case for ganja law reform. He continues that case when we come back from a first break on Issues and Answers.
Motorists, know your rights as road users. If you're stopped by the police in a road check, the police have the right to ask for your driver's license and vehicle documents. If you don't have the documents on you, you can ask for 5 days to provide them at a convenient police station. If you don't have vehicle insurance, you can be prosecuted and face the court. If you fail to renew the registration license, the police are entitled to seize your vehicle. If the police wish to search your vehicle, they should tell you the reasonable grounds for wanting the search. If you are given a ticket, sign it only if you plan to pay the fine and not contest the charge in court. And please be reminded, children under 18 years must wear a seatbelt, even if they are seated in the back. Know your rights. Knowledge of the traffic road code makes it easier to work with the police as they do their job to make the roads safer for you and everyone else.
Thanks for rejoining us for Issues and Answers. The Minister of Justice, Senator Mark Golding, is talking to us primarily about the ganja law reform issue. Minister, the benefits of the medical marijuana industry, you would say that the benefits are so significant as to demand reform in our laws?
I think so. I think our economy needs whatever industry it can get. You know, we need to grow our way out of this huge debt that we have. And the fact is that Jamaica has a brand through reggae music, Bob Marley, and etc. Years and years from the 60s coming up, and maybe even before. That, you know, an association with ganja. We can't deny this. So I do think that there are, you know, and the medicinal uses of ganja are being increasingly promoted internationally. Even Dr. Sanjay Gupta has run two long documentaries on CNN. He was formerly hostile to it, and he has now recanted and apologized and has been indicating that there are some definite medical benefits from certain aspects, certain strains and so on. So we think that Jamaica...
And the market for it globally is significant.
It is, and access to it is a problem, you know, because of the way in which the laws treat with ganja. So We need to design a policy that is going to allow us to operate or establish an industry here that is compliant with our international obligations, which is accessible as much as possible to grassroots growers as well. We don't want to exclude anybody, and which leverages the brand that we have and our sunlight and our soil and the other natural attributes that we have that could, I think, make our product attractive to the market.
Yes, but you know, Minister, that the drug cartel has been known to, certainly to attempt to corrupt medical marijuana production to its own end. So the government would have to be very careful as to the supervision and regulation.
It will have to be, and I mean, it will be done under license, and there'll have to be a monitoring function and so on. My understanding of it is that the medical marijuana industry requires particular strains being grown under controlled conditions and so on. So it should be possible, I believe, to have a properly structured industry which is monitored. And those who are outside of the law and are operating the industry that now exists, and it's an underground industry, that I imagine will continue until such time as it is either eradicated or the law is changed in that area too, internationally. But we're not, my focus at this point is in trying to establish a lawful, regulated industry that pays taxes and that provides a product that the world wants.
And we should mention that these changes have been adopted by Cabinet, but have not been passed yet.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for raising that.
So
yes,
people should not just go out and feel
the law has not changed yet.
And
in fact, there are two stages to this. The first stage will be fairly soon, because there is a bill that I expect to come to Cabinet for approval to be tabled in Parliament. That should come to Cabinet on Monday coming, which will deal with the expungement of criminal records for small quantities and for smoking of ganja. Yes, both for the past and going forward.
That's good.
And I hope to get that into Parliament within the next week or two. And then the other aspects of it to do with the small quantities and taking that out of the court system and all of that. Well, my target is to try and get a bill by December. But we have a very full legislative schedule with the IMF agreement.
You were very successful last year. The issue of jury reform, some significant things are coming.
Yes, well, we have a problem. We have a delay in our system is an endemic feature of the justice system, which we need to try and solve. And some of the problems relate to the difficulty of impaneling juries, especially where there are multiple defendants and so on. So what we're doing is we're modifying some of the rules there as well. We want to increase the jury stipend from $500 a day to $2,000 to encourage more people to come and do that civic duty. We're reducing the categories of persons who are exempt.
People
like civil servants, for example,
won't be exempt anymore.
No, so public servants will have to serve like everybody else. And we're doing a few other things. For example, we are we're combining the voters list and the TRN list to make a master.
You're going to draw people from TRN now?
Yes, to make a master list, which will be a bigger list to create a bigger
So those
pool.
who feel they could escape by not being on the voters list, they won't escape under your proposed changes?
No, they won't. And they shouldn't want to, because it's something that every citizen should be willing to do.
Yes. What about those who are fearful, Minister? This is still a violent country. They're fearful to be on.
Well, I don't know. I'm not aware that jurors have suffered any kind of. I mean, I'm not saying that being a juror doesn't expose you to certain things, because we've heard in one celebrated recent case about attempted bribing of jurors and so on. But in terms of bodily harm we haven't really seen that yet, thank God, and I hope we don't. No, we've asked CMS which is the Court Management Services, to see, where the funding to pay the additional stipend can be taken from. And once they have, if they're able to give us the okay that yes, they're in a position financially to do it, then there's some paperwork I have to do at that point.
How soon are these changes likely to be enacted?
I don't want to give a date, Ian, because money is very tight. And it's really, that particular reform is being driven by money, the one about the stipend. The others are legislative, if some of them are legislative things which are being worked on.
They're being worked on.
Yes.
Good to have you, Minister.
Thank you for having me.
Minister of Justice, Senator Mark Golding, speaking to us about several issues, ganja law reform as well as jury reform. We thank you for your company. Next week we'll be back. Until then, Ian Boyne wishing you a pleasant day.
Know your numbers and control the keys to a healthier heart. Know the numbers for your blood pressure, cholesterol level, blood glucose level, and your weight and body mass index. Find out the risks they represent and what you need to do to stay healthy. Talk to your doctor and start making healthy lifestyle choices to prevent a heart attack or stroke.
More than 100,000 persons have one. Do you have yours? We're talking about the GOJ Health Card. Watch this to find out how you and your loved ones may own one.
The public health sector is being transformed. It involves the use of modern technology as a dynamic feature of government's development plan for good public health.
We believe that the provision of quality and affordable health services and improvements in access can help to move us closer to achieving our national development objectives.
Alongside the physical infrastructure work taking place, current innovations are allowing for improved service delivery. But the administration is taking it further. In 2014, a bold move was made with the introduction of the GOJ Health Card, an electronic swipe card that gives Jamaicans easier access to the services of the public health system.
Having an L card, it is the best thing for getting help from the hospital.
It helps you to see the doctor quicker. When you use it, when you go out and you go to the service provider, they will know, at least the other doctors, they will know your medical history. And getting a prescription filled and so on, that's where people have a problem financially supporting that. So that's the only main reason why I'm really getting it.
The GOJ card is the first of its kind in the Caribbean and represents a major game changer in the public health sector in Jamaica.
It's part of the solution for making the public health system more efficient, financially stable, and affordable for everyone who needs care. Extensive public consultations on health financing prior to rolling out the GOJ Health Card revealed wide public consensus on the need to improve the process for dispensing medication and to increase the avenues for health financing. The collection of private health insurance was seen as one acceptable way to achieve these goals.
The GOJ Health Card will assist us to accomplish these objectives. We will be using the coordination of benefits platform of the NHF to facilitate the collection of health insurance.
The GOJ Health Card is now the primary means by which all Jamaicans will access care in public health facilities. Registration for persons to get their cards began on February 3, 2014.
All residents of Jamaica are eligible to apply for a GOJ card once they have a TRN.
To get the card, persons must fill out a simple form available at health facilities with information such as name, address, and tax registration number TRN. Completed forms can be left at any public health facility, the Ministry of Health head office, or the head office of the NHF and any NHF help desk across the island. Cards are delivered to the applicants by mail, and that's 2 to 3 weeks after registration.
In the case of young children, a TRN will be obtained for them to facilitate registration once they have a birth certificate. For persons who do not have a birth certificate, they will need to get a photo endorsed by a justice of the peace and a declaration of their birth date. Once these are obtained, a provisional TRN can be issued. Let me point out here that we have had discussions with the Registrar General's Department, which is prepared to facilitate requests for birth certificates.
The National Health Fund is responsible for processing the applications. That includes data processing, printing, and distribution of your GOJ card. For the immediate future, persons already in possession of the NHF Health Card need not apply for a GOJ card. At every visit to a public health institution, cardholders should present their swipe cards. Where swipe machines are not in place, public health staff should use the NHF online database to access patient information to facilitate registration.
The GOJ health card will facilitate easy and quicker registration, enhance patient management leading to better patient outcomes, the ability to easily fill prescriptions at any public pharmacy and drug serve across the island, tracking of medication to ensure that they are being used safely, especially in terms of quantity and mix, linkages with the introduction of the electronic patient administration system, EPAS, which will allow us to link health records to the card.
Other benefits of the card include tracking of past beneficiaries to better ensure social protection for this vulnerable group. Looking ahead, further benefits will include the ability to properly plan using micro-level empirical data to inform policies and programs. Full rollout of the GOJ health card is being done over 18 months, with another 6 months targeted to iron out any remaining kinks. After that, the use of the card will become mandatory except in cases of emergency. The Ministry of Health, achieving efficiency gains, better patient management, and better patient outcomes for a healthier population.
It's the final week, the last opportunity to see the highly anticipated JCDC National Finals of the Festival of the Performing Arts Competition. Participants from schools, community groups, youth clubs, social clubs, performing arts clubs, churches, and outstanding individual performers have been competing for weeks. They're going after national honors in the categories of dance, music, speech, and the traditional folk forms. The Drama Festival will close off the season on Tuesday and Wednesday at the Little Theatre in St. Andrew. So do you like action, comedy, or drama? Get your imagination filled through the talents of Jamaica's creative artists.
When you catch it with the salt mackerel and the saltfish, yes, and the coconut, when you rock back and lick your big finger, you know have to wonder how the yam sweet. Yam cook up with ham, cook up with pizza, overnight yam. In Jamaica, the people say, renta yam are the sweetest yam. One morning I saw an old man eating a pizza, overnight yam. The yam was kind of powder and dry, and it took all the old man to. Oh, lady, come give me nice, ram pum pum, pizza yam. Why oh why the old man say, why oh why the old man said. But we ain't no dead. When you catch it with the salt mackerel and the saltfish, yes, and the coconut oil, when you rock back and lick your big finger, you know happy wonder how the yam sweet. When you catch it with the salt mackerel and the saltfish, yes, and the coconut oil, when you rock back and lick your big finger, you know happy wonder how the yam sweet. Oh the yam yam, 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 oh the yam sweet. Sweet.
As you start a new week, here's a piece of advice. Nothing is impossible. The word itself says, I'm possible. A quote from the mind of the talented actress Audrey Hepburn. This is where we close the pages on today's magazine. Thanks for watching. And don't forget, we value your feedback. So drop us a line, send an email to jamaicamagazine@jis.gov.jm. You may also follow us on Twitter @JISNews. On behalf of the team here at the JIS, I'm Arroyo Eubanks, wishing you a wonderful day.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.